something in the Norse world. So yeah, God of War, Aries Tuesday,
It's good
Aries
to
Day.
know.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
just a fun fact. Now, all right, I don't want to steal your show. Continue.
It's okay. Um, so that did derail me. I
I'm good.
lost my
I am
entire train of
super
thought.
good. I'm really good at that.
That is a talent of yours. So John is gone. So I can't have him pull up this particular video.
You think he's? What do you
Uh,
think he's doing? Crapping, vomiting, peeing,
it's just a train wreck today.
getting train wreck Tuesdays?
Ooh, that's actually kind of a good idea.
Yeah,
We go with train wreck Tuesdays.
we could go on those little trains at the park and wreck them every Tuesday.
Yeah.
You ever go to those when you were a kid?
No, my family was too poor and mean to take me to anything.
He's back.
So that did happen. Jeez, the camera was fucked.
Yeah, but y'all were just like, oh, it's fine, and then we just look at retards at like a 47-degree angle.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, John's still.
It's very bad. Give me just a second
it's
here.
so bad.
That is not level.
Oh
I can
my
just see
gosh.
with my eyes.
Today is an official clusterfuck.
Come on, get going. I want to at least hear the first thing you have to say.
All right, so well, we already talked about this a little bit, or no, we'll switch gears. I wanted you to be here for this one. Doug Imhoff is back in the media. Do you know who Doug Imhoff is?
No, is that Bernie Madoff's uncle?
No. Doug Imhoff is the illustrious husband of our former. He was the first man, the first gentleman, or second gentleman. Sorry,
First
the,
cuck.
the second gentleman, the second cuck
Yeah, there you go.
of Miss Kamala. Sorry, Harris.
She was married
Yeah,
to a guy.
Doug Imhoff is her husband. She's still married. He's he's still alive. Neither one of them has passed, nor have they gotten divorced, to the best of my knowledge.
All
Yeah.
right. What about
Also,
what?
Trump's giving a speech on his first 100 days right now. He's at a rally right now, which I think is great. We might tune into a little bit of that later. But let's listen to what Doug Imhoff has to say. He was recently removed from his position on the council of the reason I wanted you to see of the Holocaust Museum.
Oh,
And so he's upset about it, but he also wants people to know that Kamala Harris, whose opinions are very valued by all of America since she's been vice president, that she still stands behind Israel.
oh, she does.
Yeah, and so let's listen. Hear what Doug Imhoff has to say, or not.
What in the world?
This is a
It's like
hit the play button. Now rewind.
You gotta hit unmute down there too. It's on mute. Oh, okay.
You got to leave it playing. Rewind.
This is horrific.
Unmute.
Jews have asked for generations.
And
Yes,
more volume.
she feels it in her gut. Kamala feels it, as we say, in her. I'll answer the question that Jews have asked for generations.
Just go all the way.
Yes, she feels it in her gut. Kamala feels it, as we say, in her kishkis. Oh, that's how my mom says it. Her commitment to the security of Israel is unwavering. And I know this not just because of what she said publicly, though
Well,
I
heard
can hear
her
it,
listen to
but
she has
most
said this through her entire career consistently.
fucking rewind.
But says, when it's just answer the question that Jews have asked for generations. Yes, she feels it in her gut. Kamala feels it, as we say, in her kishkis. Oh, that's how my mom says it. Her commitment to the security of Israel is unwavering, that Jews have asked for generations, as we say, in her kishkis. Oh, that's how my...
He's seen somebody do that before, and he's learned how to make like a shitty joke in front of people.
that
Politician
that
bullshit.
smiling, just him saying the word gut. I mean, he has seen some insides of some guts, and
Yeah.
he's done sodomy.
He's probably been inside.
There
some,
is
some
no
guts.
way this guy has not done sodomy. All right, I'm calling it right now. And probably with Kamala's a sodomite.
Done sodomy.
Yeah.
Do you? That's something you perform.
You'd have to call up Doug Imhoff and ask him, why did he get kicked off the council? Did he start questioning the number? Surely not. Did he start saying, hey,
We haven't gotten there yet.
okay. But it's coming up. Is that part of your plan?
I don't actually know if he talks about it in this video, which I think is weird. Hit play, John.
My mom says it. Her commitment to the security of Israel is unwavering. And I know this not just because of what she said publicly, though she has said this through her entire career consistently, but also by what she does and says when it's just us. I've talked to her before and after her calls with Israel's leaders and diplomats. I mean, she takes seriously her pledge, and I'm going to quote Kamala here, to always ensure Israel has what it needs to defend itself from Iran and Iran-backed terrorists.
Pause it right here. I mean, hell yeah, I love Iran. This guy he has had peepees in the mouth. How can anyone trust what he's saying? He's so creepy. He gives off like sadistic vibes.
He's real creepy.
Yeah.
Also, it's a bitch thing to have to be like, I was the second gentleman.
That's
That
right.
sounds like you were just cucked for 4 years.
Exactly.
Additionally, who gives two flying fucks what Kamala had to say in private? She's drunk 90% of the time anyway. No one cares. Why do you feel like that is important to share with the public?
Yeah.
She's been widely discredited by even the mainstream media. Okay? No one gives two flying shits what she has to say.
Just because Biden had dementia.
Right.
Nobody voted for him.
This is some insane shit. I don't know why he's giving this talk, but keep going.
Those are her words. And I saw her determination earlier this month after she spent hours in the Situation Room coordinating in real time with our military to shoot down the missiles Iran launched into Israel's skies. I've been next to her as she steeled herself with such care and compassion when she's meeting hostage families. And I've seen how those conversations both break her heart, but also strengthen her resolve. I know what's in her soul. She feels what you and
That
I
is
and
the face
Jews
of a
across
man
America.
that has a dildo in his ass as he's speaking. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to what people look like when they have butt plugs in. I don't actually know what they look like either, but I imagine that this is the kind of face they would be making. You know what I mean?
I can't get over the.
He looks like he has a special secret in his behind.
Who would give him a hug? What kind of? Say these hostages are real. Say there's hostages. Okay. Say the October 7th was 100% legit.
Yeah.
Right? It's not. Look into it. CIA, Hamas, they're all the same conglomeration. Mossad, they bomb themselves. It's what they do. Anyway, pretend it's not like that. Pretend there's actual people that have been assaulted by Hamas.
There may have been. We don't know.
Okay. Like, who would give that guy a hug? Why would you run to that guy? That guy's some kind of like depraved, coke-addicted teddy bear.
Doug Emhoff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the care and compassion. The same thing for Kamala. Like, Kamala's some kind of like drunk, like Jamaican / Indian / whatever race she wants to be, like prostitute.
It is amazing
Like-
how the entire public has just seemed to accept the fact that she is an alcoholic almost immediately. I don't know if that's like some conspiracy shit or if it's just so obvious that it has to be true. I don't know which of those it is.
Who would ever run to her for a hug? Didn't
What
he
is it
say?
with you and hugging?
Well, didn't he say something like? He's like, oh, the care and compassion she has. It's like when she's meeting with these hostage families. I mean, I just call 100% BS on that. 100%. Even if these hostage families are not spies, which they are, probably. I don't even know. It's just a
Jeez.
cluster. The point is, who trusts this guy? Nobody does.
That's true. All right, let's finish the video. Or we're,
Oh, I thought we were done.
I think it's almost done.
All right, I'm leaving after it's done.
America are feeling today.
Oh.
She gets it. And to tell you the truth, it's not just because she married a nice Jewish boy.
That is not a nice Jewish boy. That might be a nice Jewish pedophile.
Yeah, how creepy is that he would call himself a nice Jewish boy? Just look at. Did you see the curls of his mouth? I mean, that's a demon right there.
I call myself a boy pretty regularly, so I'm not one to talk. But I understand your point.
Oh man, I wish I could stay and talk about Jordan Peterson, but Lord, how he has fallen. But all right, I'm leaving on that.
All right, fair enough. Safe travels, or whatever people say. We doing one Sunday? All right. I'll talk to you about that. John, you got that changed over almost immediately. I'm gonna suck your dick after this. That was impressive.
We'll see how it came out. For there's gonna be like 5 seconds of black screen because I forgot to turn the camera back to broadcasting to our video encoder. OBS apparently doesn't do that automatically. You have to do it in each individual scene deck, and I have 3 set up, one for this, one for our main, and then one if we have somebody in the guest.
Yeah.
So I had to it took me a second to figure that out. So we'll see.
It looked seamless to me.
We're running on the fly here.
Yeah.
So.
Today is a little bit of a shit show, but it's okay. I just wanted to hear Murph talk about Doug Imhoff. That's all I wanted out of that. Since he was already here.
Yeah, fair enough.
But what a creepy motherfucker. Like, up there. Yeah, I found that very creepy. Also, why is Kamala still in the Situation Room? Like, she's not vice president anymore. What the hell is she doing in some ethereal Situation Room dealing with missiles?
I feel like he was talking in the past tense there.
You know what, John? That makes sense.
It's what I assumed that. But what he reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever seen the bad lip reading of Ted Cruz.
Dude, he does. Yes.
He is the personification of that in real life.
Yes. That was so accurate that I don't think we should say anything else about that video. I think we just leave it at that. Fuck you. But, I mean, he seems like a nice, sweet Jewish boy. You know? He seems just so nice and sweet and a little bit creepy. That stressed me out. Candace Owens is coming out, for those of you who weren't aware, in defense of Harvey Weinstein, one of our most upstanding gentlemen of the 21st century, a benevolent figure both in Hollywood and on the charity circuit. She has come out and said that he was perhaps wrongly accused.
Of unpacking the Harvey Weinstein trial, and it's pretty terrifying what they allowed in that courtroom. They just overturned it in New York, as they should have. And they just allowed a kangaroo court to take place, like absent any, and this is criminal. He's in prison, to be clear. And so that's
you
why
don't think he deserves to be in prison?
I don't know if you know that I've just done this series.
I did.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame it on you, by the way. I was doing my homework, and I got through 2 of your episodes, and then you wanted to come in early, so I did not watch the 3rd. But I did my homework, and I watched 2 of them so far.
So it's interesting. So he got caught up, I would say swept up in the Me Too. That's what I mean talking about. We're now in this phase of social justice, and social justice is not real justice. And I thought he was guilty of sin because, I mean, how could you not? There were so many women speaking at the same time, and that allows us to allow a trial by the media and not a trial by the facts. And that's why you have to say, what are the actual facts here in the case? And when I got into them, because somebody said, you know, could you look at this? Because I think you're the only person who will actually look at the facts here and report on what's actually in the case. And I was like, sure. I got on the phone with Harvey Weinstein. I've now been talking to him for about 2 years. And I thought he was guilty, got the facts, and I was like, this is the craziest thing. And I tweeted, Harvey Weinstein was wrongfully convicted. Everyone thought I was insane.
Okay.
Appellate court.
So let me go ahead and say rape is bad. We've always spoken out against rape on the Veritas Road. We will continue to do so, okay? But let's imagine the roles are reversed. If I am a very wealthy 60-year-old woman and I offer young Jonald here, like, what the fuck is going on over there?
No. Sorry, I was just double checking, and apparently Twitter just decides to keep going. I was checking some audio. We're fine.
Right.
Apparently Twitter just decides to keep going on your phone when you shut it off. So continue your thought. I apologize.
Okay. So, as previously stated, here on the Veritas Road, we have always spoken out against rape. Rape is bad. But if let's imagine roles are reversed here in the Harvey Weinstein scenario, okay? If I'm like a 60-year-old woman, all right, and if I offer you a car, right, or a big role in a movie where you're going to make millions in exchange for sleeping with me, How many people do you think are going to fucking feel bad for you? Are you going to feel like you were raped? No, not at all. I get it. It's different when it's a man offering ladies money and roles for sex, but I kind of get the point. Like, I'm sure there was some shady shit going on. It's fucking Hollywood. They're all creepy. But if I pay you and then you willingly give me a blowjob, can we call that rape? Can we label that as rape? Prostitution? Maybe. Rape seems a little strong. Is that just me? I don't know. What else do you have to say?
Court just agreed with me, said I can't even believe that this was allowed to take place in the courtroom, like what happened here, and they overturned, and now the case is being sent down beginning this month. And so I'm also colored by that, where I have now really abandoned trust in the media to tell me what the facts are. And so the first thing I'm going to do, because I am going to report on this on Monday, is get the court stuff and see, because she could have done everything right. Like, I have no idea. There could be more than one person. By the way, we do know that Russell Brand self-admitted addictions that he had during that time. I'm just curious as to why it would take any courtroom this long.
Look, I'm sure this guy's done. I'm not defending Harvey Weinstein morally. I'm sure his moral character is about as pretty as a dumpster fire surrounded by sodomizing homeless people, okay? That's probably about where his moral integrity's at. But to convict the guy of all the stuff he seems to have been convicted on, based on just like word of mouth alone, does, to be fair, seem a little insane. My question is, why did these sons of bitches want to put him away? It almost gives me, and I get their names sound similar, but it almost gives me Epstein vibes. Like, did they put him away? Are they going to kill him just to keep some names, out of the news? Like, what the fuck is going on here? And I find that strange. People keep telling me Candace Owens based. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's interesting. It's something to fucking think about. Did he do some shady shit? Yeah. Maybe he fucked some bitches and gave them roles in movies. Maybe. Sure. But we've all done that. We all haven't done that. I just want to go on record and say. But it happens. It's the world. They're wealthy now. If I had to fuck a 60-year-old woman for that sort of opportunity, which no one would feel bad for me. They would not feel bad for you either, John. All right, moving on. I feel like I've said my piece on this.
Okay.
I do find it odd in retrospect. The whole Me Too movement. Like, this guy offered me a massive role in exchange for sex, and you know what? I fucked him. All right. Maybe. This is just a thought. Maybe don't do that next time. I realize that's an insane thing to say, but maybe don't do that next time. Just a thought.
Later
and
is
yes,
a very
it's
long.
super fucked that he was offering roles in Hollywood for. Yes, that is terrible. Also, don't fuck people if they offer you roles in movies or money. I don't feel like this takes that much thought. I don't know. But apparently Candace Owens thinks he's wrongfully accused. So we could be having dinner with Harvey Weinstein next week, John. She's getting him out of prison.
Yeah,
maybe he'll offer you a role in a movie if you blow him.
This is completely irrelevant, but I just find it wild that she's talking to Howie Mandel on his podcast.
It does seem strange.
That's a very odd combination of people.
Howie Mandel's gotten a little wild. He's been on Kill Tony, a couple other things, past year or two. He's getting crazy in his old age. He stopped giving a fuck, I guess. I don't know. All right, that's it. Let's move on.
Okay. Good Lord. What do you want next?
Okay, so we don't necessarily have to play this video. Go ahead and pull it up just in case. I don't know if you've seen this. Everybody's talking about how Jordan Peterson compared Christians who say, like, Christ is king on or about I guess Easter, I think is when he allegedly said this, are tantamount to like psychopaths. But I couldn't find where, I don't know if that's been scrubbed from the internet, but I could not find footage of that statement. This particular interview is of him discussing like psychopathic behavior on both sides of the aisle. And I will say, I don't necessarily have a personal problem with the guy. I think he makes a lot of good practical points. He is super hard to pin down. I know for anyone who's watched his debates with Sam Harris, if you ask the man whether or not he believes the texts that he teaches from, that he pulls all of his stories from, right? If you ask him if he genuinely believes those are true, he will give you a 20-minute lecture and not say a damn thing. He's very intelligent. And most of the things he says are very good and very useful. I'm a huge fan. But the fact that you can't pin the son of a bitch down on whether or not he thinks the Bible is actually true or not seems a little bit fucked to me. Because what he'll tell you, it's true insofar as it makes your life better. All right. But is it true? Like, do you think this shit happened or do you not? And he won't answer that question, which bothers me. But I haven't been able to find... Have you seen the clip that everybody's talking about of him, like, comparing people who say like, Christ is king around, like, Easter and that sort of thing to, like, psychopaths and weaponized speech? Because that seems very backwards for Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, he said something like that on Rogan's podcast in this latest interview he did with him. I haven't watched the full thing. I've just seen the outcry that it created on Twitter.
So I went back and listened to that because I heard Dave Smith talk about it on his podcast about he never said anything like that. He was discussing like psychopathic behavior in and amongst like people on the liberal and conservative side of the political aisle, and how there are people who in Ukraine's a great example, how there were people who just to get power, get influence, there were people who just to get the right people's attention would fly a fucking Ukraine flag out of their window. I stand with Ukraine. I got vaccinated. You know, like people who do that just for the positive attention that it will bring. And that is by definition psychopathic behavior. And I don't recall him ever even using the phrase Christ is king, but the flip side of that would be, you know, if people on the right, and I think a great example of this is some of the like the tech giants, right? Like Bezos, fucking Mark Zuckerberg, who suddenly, when the wind shifts, right, go from being these liberal assholes, right, to standing behind Trump and jerking themselves off at his fucking coronation. And so I kind of get the point. People just blowing in the wind like flags. And so, like, do I think using that phrase on Easter is psychopath? No, not at all. But the fact that people do say shit just for attention, just for power, just to, you know, get buy-in from other people is true. I don't think anybody can really argue with that in good conscience. I still haven't been able to find the clip I think that people seem to be talking about. So I could be dead-ass wrong. But, I mean, that seems to be what I've heard from him, and that seems to be a reasonable perspective to me.
Yeah, I mean, kind of judging by at least just looking at this Fox News article you linked, I think the outcry is how this phrase is basically being linked to the quote-unquote anti-Semitism.
Right.
And I think that's where that's coming from. But I haven't seen the clip of where, you know, Jordan Peterson said this particularly either.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I haven't been able to find it. He did discuss anti-Semitism in that. interview, and I mean, it was kind of shillish, right? Like, I don't understand why America puts so much time and money and attention into Israel. I think there are some folks in the conspiracy scene who have some pretty damn good guesses, but I personally don't know why. And so he did say some things that were very, son of a bitch, very shillish, so to speak. That is true.
Shillish in what way? Like just what you would hear on the Daily Wire?
Yeah, exactly. Something that may have come directly out of Ben Shapiro's mouth, traveled up Jordan Peterson's asshole, and then through his throat. Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, there are worse things, I guess. It just doesn't get to me that much. I don't know. Maybe my priorities are wrong. That's entirely possible. But, yeah. That's all I got on this. Moving on. Oh, it's it. Holy shit. We flew through tonight. We'll save that for another day, actually, that last thing. Guys, I'm sorry. This was a shit show. Do you want to scroll through Twitter or anything, John? We're already here. It's already kind of a shit show. We can if you want.
All right.
Got a few minutes. Our Twitter feed has been curated by just people who are in a deep, dark conspiracy hole, and so I really don't like scrolling through it very much because it makes me sad. How about the fact that people are saying, like, J.D. Vance killed Trump? I just heard that for the first time earlier.
Well,
or not Trump, sorry. Might have just started a terrible rumor. Killed the Pope. The Pope, not Trump.
Yeah, that's super weird. He, like, met with him, like, legitimately the day before he died. And, I mean, the Pope looked like freaking this is just hilarious. I have to pull this up. I'm
Alex
sorry, I'm
Jones
getting a little
as the
bit
Pope
distracted.
Is amazing.
That is freaking hilarious.
That's amazing. Would you well, you don't vote for the Pope, never mind. I was going to say, would you vote for Alex Jones as Pope? Are you going to vote for Pope this year, John?
No,
Are you
I'm
go out to the polls?
very much not a part of the conclave. So I don't even know how that works.
Wow.
Let's see.
What is going on with Elon Musk now, by the way? He seems to have calmed down a little bit. All the Doge stuff seems to have died down a touch. Is he really running all of those companies?
I mean, no, definitely not.
There's no way.
But I don't know. I saw somewhere where they their target savings was like when Trump was running was like $2 trillion, and I've seen somewhere where they've like scaled it back to like 165 billion or some bullshit number like that. So it seems like the whole thing was just a kind of giant smoke screen from the beginning, and now it's just going to kind of fade into existence.
It was a great way to get buy-in from conservative voters. Let's downsize the government. Get all the waste out of there. Fucking bullshit. We didn't downsize $150 billion is nothing. That is it's so insignificant when it comes to our federal government. I can't believe that it was as big of a deal for as long as it was. That just blows my mind.
Yeah,
I cannot believe it.
And also, I mean, it has to have some significance, at least from the conspiracy perspective, because it's supposed to terminate in this giant World's Fair event in 2026. So I don't know. It's super, super strange of why it seems to just fade out of the media.
Yeah, that is true. Oh, hey, scroll back up. There's a video of Trump I wanted to watch tonight. Forgot about that.
This right here?
Yeah, Trump's got a beef with Taylor Swift.
All right, give me just a sec. Guess I got to rewind it because Twitter just automatically played it.
Which I was there. I watched in person. I was there along with Taylor Swift. How did that work out? How did that one work out? The Eagles, which I was there.
What kind of a cult ritual is the Super Bowl? I can't even watch it anymore. I used to watch it just for curiosity's sake, just to see what kind of weird shit was going on. But it's gotten weirder and weirder the past few years. I can't deal with it.
Yeah, and I've never understood how people can just normally watch shit like that. You can watch shit like the Olympics opening ceremony or the Super Bowl halftime show and just be like, this is normal. This is all fine. This is just another performance, and how you can't see like the just obvious inverted symbolism that's just caked throughout all of it.
I mean, you're right. Part of me thinks it wasn't as obvious 20, 25 years ago when I was maybe I was just naive, but like I don't remember. I was the sensitive child. I would get scared very easily. I don't remember being scared of any like Super Bowl halftime shows or like Olympic opening or closing ceremonies. Like I remember thinking it was kind of cool. And now it's horrifying. Like if I was a 6-year-old watching the Super Bowl halftime show, I would be genuinely scared, genuinely terrified. I don't know how people do it at all. That's creepy as fuck. Oh my gosh. Jeez.
Yeah, this is also something that I don't even know if we've covered on the podcast, but I've been apparently
I
this
saw
was
this
like
the
a
other
month
day.
ago. I've been scrolling back through. I save a crap load of stuff in our Twitter
Yeah. I know it's excessive.
bookmark, and then I forget to go back and look at it. But apparently, an InfoWars news reporter was murdered sometime last month.
Yeah, it was Jesse something or other.
Jamie White, right there.
Oh,
Read
I'm a terrible
10
person.
words.
Yeah.
You know anything about that?
No, you've now seen as much as I have. It seems he was just murdered somewhere in Texas. And I haven't seen anything that had like an explanation other than just yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Unbelievable.
That's fascinating because I remember like seeing this at the time, and I saved it thinking like, oh, this is gonna be a big story, like it would blow up into be a big story, and I want to like save it and keep track of it, and it just kind of disappeared, and I'm very, very curious as to why.
I think I can tell you why. Alex Jones has been vilified for so long. Having somebody at InfoWars. Now, whether you believe Alex Jones is like a genuine person or a fucking controlled opposition, a member of the deep state, what have you, as far as the game's concerned, having it widely publicized that he lost a member of his crew is going to paint him in far too emotional and compassionate of a light. That's not who we paint Alex Jones as.
Yeah, I mean,
he is that crazy conspiracy theorist guy who we make fun of, which I also like to do because he's pretty fun to make fun of.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem like they've arrested anybody in it.
No, I mean, they don't
Either.
even seem to have any suspects. Like, everywhere I've looked, no one's had a clue what the hell's going on.
Bizarre. I wonder, where is it at in Austin?
Are you familiar with the topography of Austin, Texas,
Well,
John?
I'm thinking in my head about the shit that's going down near Lady Bird Lake.
The supposed serial killer over there?
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that has something to do with that, of where his house was, of how close it was, that South Austin. Maybe not.
I
But
don't know.
InfoWars writer shot and killed outside of his apartment complex. Damn, that's wild.
Yeah. It's fucked.
Yeah. And it's just like, that article was in March, and there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, that happened on March 9th. The latest thing and anything you look up on the internet is March 12th, March 13th, and it's just nothing. Which I don't know. I feel like that would just be a much more massive deal
It is strange.
than what it was.
Very strange.
So, I don't know. That's something that we need to look into.
Well, that was a depressing note to end the show on. Today has been a clusterfuck anyway, so I feel like we'll end it the right way and just be sad. That seems appropriate. Guys, thanks for listening. Next week won't be this bad. Who was that son of a bitch turning around? That was creepy.
What are you looking at?
That video right there.
Oh, that was just the
it's Eric Trump.
blatant Masonic symbol that Eric Trump made at Trump's inauguration. Like, just
John, I don't know what I walk around with my hands like that all the time. That's how I
Don't
stand.
you?
I always do that.
The most blatant, and it's like super weird because it looks like his wife. Like,
She's like, "Hey, bro, stop. Chill the fuck
cut
out.
the
Be
fuck
cool."
out.
Oh, I'll change now. Holy shit. That is weird. Wow. I thought InfoWars was getting shut down anyway. What the hell happened with that?
Yeah, that's also bizarre because
It just stopped getting shut down.
well, like The Onion like bought it
Supposedly.
and then like it was blocked for some reason because it's like I looked into that a little bit and it's like apparently they held under Texas law is like they have like specific rules for how like bankruptcy auctions work, and is like the I guess the government, whoever was auctioning it off, like intentionally like gave it off to the Onion, which was like a lower bidder than like the bidders that Alex Jones had set up to buy it back.
That's right. I
And
remember
so
hearing
they
about
had,
that.
like,
Yeah.
To subvert them, they like sold it off to a lower bidder, which is like clearly retarded if you think about how bankruptcy works. Is you sell it for
Right.
the highest price possible to pay off your,
We all
alleged
understand.
creditors. So and apparently I've been trying to track to see if there's like any other like updates on like the hearing that because they're supposed to redo the auction, and I've been trying to track it to see if they have.
Are you gonna buy InfoWars, John? Is that you're gonna do
Wouldn't
that?
that be awesome? I don't think I have the funds for that, but
Didn't they fine him like $1 billion or something?
Yeah.
Something fucking wild that no one could ever pay back.
yeah, which is just like
Retarded.
ridiculous, and it's like how is that restitution
It's
to
not.
anybody? Like how has he done that much in damages, alleged damages?
Well, and also, what does that say about these alleged things that happened? Like, oh, hey, your kid's dead. Here's a wad of cash. You good now? Sweet.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of a message does that send, even if they're correct?
Yeah, they still doesn't seem like they've set up an update on the hearing for this of when they're gonna like do another auction. So somehow he just gets to operate it.
Well, and he's also, there's no, how the fuck? I know we said we'd end this a minute ago, but how the fuck can you find somebody for saying something? I would love to know, because the free speech laws in this country supposedly protect your right to say whatever the hell you want. How the fuck is he responsible for that amount of money for those people for any other reason other than there's some weird ass shit going on?
I mean, yeah, it's some weird novel theory of defamation lawsuits because it's like he, allegedly said that a supposed shooting was supposedly fake. You can't say what it actually was. You get demonetized on YouTube. But like apparently he's being held responsible for what his listeners allegedly went and did to the parents of, the victims of it. And I don't see how you can be held responsible for the actions of other people.
You can't. This is one
And
of...
so it's like a crazy novel theory of like defamation.
It's one of the worst logical fallacies that people fucking Douglas Murray, I don't know if you listened to any of his debate with Dave Smith, like to throw out there. And it's like, hey, you have a voice. You're responsible for that, which is to some degree true. You are responsible for the things you say, right? You're going to have to own up to them. Either back up for them, back them up, apologize, whatever. Like, you're going to have to own up to the fact that you said whatever you said. Fine, okay? But there's some crazy fucking people out there who are going to do some wild, crazy shit, okay? And if, for whatever reason, you just happen to set those numbskulls off, I don't think you can be held accountable for that. This was some fucking insane incel in a basement jerking off every 12 minutes who was just waiting to go fucking, I don't know, like try to, whatever these people do, I don't know, be the next Unabomber. But to hold Alex Jones or anyone else like that, Dave Smith, accountable for other people doing something is irrational. You didn't do, and I'm not, none of them are saying, hey, maybe you should go do this. Hey, maybe you should go fucking protest here. No, that's not happening. It's just people talking about ideas, and that has to be, in like a free society, acceptable. There can't be any ideas that you can't talk about. Otherwise, the whole concept of freedom and free will is completely fucked. Like, it might as well bend over and just take it because, yeah. Sorry, I got off on a little bit of a tangent there.
Yeah, no, 100%. But now that you brought it up, I think end on this then. You watched the Dave Smith-Douglas Murray debate, I'm assuming. What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm kind of curious.
So, I'm not very well versed in the conflict in Israel and Gaza. Okay, well, I guess Israel kind of encompasses Gaza, but I'm not super well versed in the conflicts that have occurred in that geographic region. Okay, so let me preface this by saying that. That being said, the biggest thing I noticed was they both knew their shit pretty well. Dave Smith is a very smart guy. He is an excellent debater, very well spoken. Douglas Murray's the same way. He's clearly intelligent, knows his shit fairly well. But best I could tell, his two main points were Dave Smith, you don't claim to be an expert, but you're talking about this. How dare you talk about it? You don't claim to be an expert, right? Which I would argue is a non-argument. Okay. His next big argument was you haven't been there, so you don't really know. Which again is a non-argument. Okay, I haven't been to fucking, I don't know, Texas, but I think I can pretty well speak to the fact that Texas exists, okay, based on things I've read, evidence I've seen, etc. Whereas Dave Smith did seem to do his best to ally himself to the facts as he believed them to be. And for me, if we're looking at it as a debate and not a discussion, which, I mean, it was on Rogan, so they do seem to try to run that as more of a conversation, less as a formal debate, which I think is a great idea. Like, get some people together, talk about ideas. It's a much healthier way to have that conversation. But coming into it with as few biases as I think I could, Douglas Murray did not come out of that discussion looking super great as far as like how well I think he can defend his position that Israel is like some like pure entity of light, you know, and that we should continually work to defend other countries as a merit. Like, that's not our job, but that seems to be his position, and I feel like Dave Smith kind of tore him apart on that front. So. Yeah. And that anti-Semitism is somehow the root of all. Like, I get it. There are people who don't like a lot of races out there, okay? We don't have to fucking talk about it all the time, for one. And for two, like, sure, there are people who don't like those people. Sure. I don't... Why are we getting involved in... Why is America getting involved in that conflict, though? Like, what business do we... Are they getting bombed here? If they're getting bombed here, let's do something about it. Sure, let's stop people bombing here. If it's happening overseas, maybe, but it's between them. Let's stay out of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't watch it. I've come with almost a policy for myself that, like, I feel like once I've watched guys like Dave Smith or Scott Horton or Douglas Murray or anybody like that debate the Douglas Murray, James Lindsay, drawing a blank on the other kind of prominent guy, Will Chamberlain, when they kind of debate these people, is like, I've come to the conclusion that if I've heard one of the debates, I've heard them all, because it's like Select on those guys are going to make the same kind of arguments. Select on, like, Dave Smith, Scott Hortonside are going to make the same kind of arguments. You're not going to accomplish anything.
It's true.
But what I've noticed is, like, out of the, you know, the whole Douglas Murray kind of camp in the side of the debate and the reaction I've seen some of the worst kind of, like, leftist tactics and leftist argumentation tactics of supposed right-wingers that I've ever seen. Is, like, and the right typically are the people who, like, really pin down on this, like, appeal to emotion and, like, guilt by association bullshit. But when it comes to, like, you know, Israel, that goes out the fucking window.
It does.
And it blows my mind.
It's very strange.
Because it's like, I know, because I have seen clips and I know, like, I don't know if Douglas Murray did this, but I know other people have like attacked like Dave Smith for having guys like Nick Fuentes on his podcast for a couple of different episodes, or talking to people like Jake Shields. And it's just like, you would decry guilt by association in any other scenario except this one. And it's like, I don't understand how they can't at least acknowledge that logical fallacy.
Just to put my tinfoil hat, like, that's what makes the whole scenario just seem fishy to me. Because suddenly your tactics completely shift, and it makes me feel like you don't have a leg to stand on, right? Because you're right. In any other scenario, we're gonna try to avoid appeals to emotion. We're gonna try to avoid the whole guilt by association concept. In this scenario, though, it's like, you fucking talked to whoever it is. How dare you? They have dangerous ideas. Since when are ideas dangerous? They're not. Got a beard hair in my mind. That's insane. And one of the other things I did notice was a lot of the I mean, he's a journalist and probably somewhat of a storyteller as well, Douglas Murray. But a good chunk of the things he had to say were, you're telling me that when I walked through a field and I saw children screaming in agony near their mothers who were also screaming in agony, near their grandmothers who were also upset because their dog had died, and the dog was dying in a field while tears fell down its eyes and flowers started to grow near it and the rain started falling. You're telling me it's such an obvious appeal to emotion without any bearing on without addressing the situation at hand. You'll have to go through and listen to it, but it's like, why are we bringing emotion, strong emotion, into play here? I get people are going to get emotional about this topic, but if we're going to have an honest discussion about something that's as fraught with emotional difficulty as war, then we need to do our best to set things like that aside. And so that did, and I agree, that stuff's super fucking sad. Like, let's all cry about it, but not when we're trying to figure out, like, who's, is anybody at fault? Is everybody kind of fucked? Like, not when we're trying to figure out the actual ones and twos of this situation. And so that was a point against in my book.
Yeah, especially when it, like, voids you of any type of moral judgment. Because it's like, Dave Smith did a debate at Princeton, which is fucking hilarious that they have him doing formal debates at Princeton.
That is pretty funny.
And he debated a guy, and he was, I can't remember what the guy's name was. You have to go back and just look it up. But, like, one of the questions that the guy kind of asked, and it was almost like he was shocked, is like, oh, you have, like, a moral, like, perspective here. Like, you have, like, a moral decision here. It's like, well, I was like, how can you not? It seems like the most obvious starting point when you're talking about, tens of thousands of people dying or injured or whatever. Is like, that seems like the most obvious starting point for everybody. Is like, is this morally just?
That's a fair point. I would say that's different than an appeal to emotion.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, I mean, I come from this perspective that morality is based in logic.
Right.
It's based in logos. So it's like, it's 100% different in my book.
That's a good point. I think you're dead ass right. Like, instead of painting these wildly emotional pictures, let's talk about the fact that you blew up a building right, with who knows how many people in it to kill one guy. Was that
Yeah.
okay? Was
Yeah.
that okay? Was it? Maybe it was. Maybe that guy was a fucking mass murderer and was going to go on to kill tens of millions of people. Maybe, just maybe, I realize this is a wild perspective. Maybe it wasn't okay to do that. And those are the kind of conversations you have to be able to have. You're right, in a logical manner, without getting overly drawn in to these pretty pictures that people can paint with their words. It really does. I was getting pulled in to the narrative that he was building.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of startled awake. I was like, oh my gosh. He's using 8 people being sad as a reason to justify like blowing up hundreds or even thousands of people.
Yep.
That doesn't seem entirely rational.
Yep.
Maybe that's just me. Doesn't seem entirely rational. And I think a lot of that harkens back to the idea, and maybe we can finally close with this. One of the concepts that I keep coming back to when I think about just morality in general is what is the honest to goodness, like, truest moral code that exists across all of mankind, right? And I think after considering, quite frankly, mostly Christian values, but as much of Eastern values as I can, in conjunction with thinking about Christian values and just inborn morality, is, I think, I'd be interested to hear other people's opinions on this, actually. If anyone listens to this, please comment. I think the highest moral code as far as like common law is concerned is just don't interfere with another person's free will. That is our moral code, right? And so if a good example, if I invade your house, right, and I'm going to attack you or steal your shit, I've violated your free will. Thus, you are well within your right to retaliate at that point in time. But until then, right, there's no reason for you to ever fuck with me, even if I have wildly diametrically opposed ideas or views. And I think that you have to look at conflicts like what's going on in Israel or Gaza or wherever the fuck this is, in a similar light, insofar like how many people had that ability to make decisions, to live their daily lives unencumbered by another person's iron will, like with the not an embargo. What was it?
Probably sanction is the word you're thinking of.
No. Where the bunch of shit can't get in.
The blockade,
sanction, or
yeah.
whatever. That they had around Gaza for a long time. Like, how many people were robbed of the opportunity to exercise their own free will as a result of that, and for how long?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, when you look at these stories, these narratives in overly emotional lights, and you narrow down, like, the lens of the storyteller can focus in on one or two people, and suddenly that colors the whole narrative, and that's a big problem, because guess what? There are tens of thousands, maybe millions of people who are being robbed of their free will as a result of whatever geopolitical conflict is going on. And so you have to be, I think that perspective allows you to be a lot more objective when addressing such scenarios.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So, guys, thanks for listening. Sorry today was a clusterfuck. Next week will be better. We're working on it.
Yeah, we got there in the end.
Yeah, we had Murph here, and that, not gonna lie, I love having him. That did throw me off.
It threw me off a little bit because I had to switch our entire
Right.
scene setup.
Yeah.
And
So
the beginning production of this is going to be
shit.
heavy ass.
Yeah.
It got better once I could switch back to what I had already set up. I had to go back to our main podcast.
It may be a good idea, just a little look behind the curtain, to set up a guest scene deck for this.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Probably should do that.
So let's do that at some point.
So,
all right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week on Touch Me Tuesdays.
Appreciate it.